how he sees and shapes the world through the lens. I hope you like the next show, but yeah, man, keep on supporting us. Okay, I'll continue. Say.
I think as Africans, we need to become comfortable telling our own stories. We should be comfortable with the situation of young talent actually coming through and telling our stories correctly, because we shouldn't get pissed off then if we sit back and let other people tell our stories. And that's one of the mottos that we keep on telling within Untainted Creatives. We sat down with this legend, Andile, and he really specifies and really outlines what he sees through the lens and his journey through this podcast. But the most important part, when we were sitting down and just having this conversation, he said one thing, and I will quote it. He's like, no matter what, that Ikasi's got my back. And I think we usually do not take that opportunity, realizing how much stories we still have to tell. We are the blueprint. We are the foundation of setting our own stories. I keep on emphasizing stories because it is what it is. It is our stories. Hope you like this podcast. It's Untainted Creatives, man.
When speaking about this, there was an interview that you spoke about on actually this year when you spoke about before COVID. It was really hard to sell sort of imagery, guys. Why do you think it became so difficult to sell imageries before the whole lockdown and COVID of it, guys?
So for me, like personally, I'm more into prints. So I sell more. I eat through prints. So for me, during COVID and after COVID, I sold. Forever sell. For other people, it was a bit difficult to sell. But the greatest thing about the COVID was that abantu were starting to see that their walls are naked, and they use certain amount of money they could use to entertainment and investing into the art. So COVID, some people made money, some did not make money. It's not hard to sell ikas, but it's hard how to package it to make ikasi make sense to omnye omdu. When I started photography, I was revisiting spaces endlule kuzo ngidlala idiski. And that's the knowledge I take into my work and how I sell my prints, is that I remind people of where they come from. So if you're staying in Dainfen, I'm gonna create a photograph that would make you remember where you're from. And every time when you have it in your lounge or in your studio, you would remember where you're from. And it's either you find a way of coming back and giving a kid a chance, or you just use that print as a way of I need to stay focused so that I can't go back to this past in a way.
There's this phrase that you say you are selling an experience at a premium price. I love that. Can you expand on that?
It's a process, bro. It's an entire process. I was inspired by Bompo Nomponyana and that image, your mama, ahake umtanake. Those images always gave us hope. Still today, I don't know who owns that. I'm still in search and trying to know who owns that image. Those images are iconic and legendary. So I'm trying to build a legendary Andile Bhala, which I pray one day every household owns an Andile Bhala. So when I speak about premium brand, I speak about the type of paper I use that lasts more than 100 years, the type of grading, the emotions in the image. Might never make sense to the next person, but to some it does. Where when you look at the image, you feel something that you've never felt ever. When one was creating that, was feeling something they've never felt ever. So it's just a way of selling feeling. But a feeling when every time when you wake up and you look at it, and it changes your everyday life. So high-end paper, quality images and quality stories. What are quality stories again?
Yeah.
So I'm selling that. I'm selling high-end. All my works are sold to at an addition of 1/5, meaning each print is 1. An EV of a 10, So that's why they premium prints. They're resellable. You're allowed to resell them.
But it's always best to have one of one on original. There is no retooled.
You can't. You can't. I gave a friend of mine. We did an exchange. I could not afford him. A Sizwe Koza and the Lindo Zwane.
Yeah.
And they painters. I could not afford them. So the best way to own them was to give them a one-of-one. And when you give someone a one-of-one and have a lot of people looking for that one-of-one, you'll be like, as an entrepreneur, you feel like, as a creative entrepreneur, you feel like you lost money.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
but at the end of the day, I'm owning a piece that's quite amazing and expensive over that print. So I need to cherish it and yeah.
One of the things that again, just kind of like referring back to the interview I heard where you spoke, and you talk about sustainability within the photography when taking a picture of someone and coming back and giving them something. Do you really can you just just expand on sort of the sustainability if a young person is listening, is like, okay, cool, I don't just take and not give back type of thing,
Ulinda Mkhize, which is one of my most inspiration, Apo, I draw it from. A pro kid says in one of his interviews, if the hoes got your back, you're safe. So that's what I do. I create works, collaborations with people, but I tell them, but this might never make sense now, but in the next coming months or years, it would make sense. And let's agree that if it sells, I reach out and you get a certain amount of money. And if it does not, it does not, but one day it would sell. So it's quite important to buy our own bantu. We don't take them as subjects and we don't take them as sabante sidla ngabo. But what's quite important about Spilisane, if one buys an Andile Bhala that has your face, I need to speak to you, Abo, and you agree we sell it, you get your share, I get my share. It has nothing to do with money, but we live in a space where laundry that you have is quite important. So it's the same way of seeing a model and say to them, your face is money, and they end up in a billboard. It's the same thing I'm doing. I'm not an agent or an agency, but it's just saying to a person about one day that picture of that flower would make sense, and it will. And when it makes sense, we reach out